Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing great and having a good day. Today, as I was doing a little housework, I ran across one of my favorite books of all time. Is Through the Gates of Splendor, and it's by Elizabeth Elliot. And all of you know, I buy any book I can find of hers. I try to collect them all. I think I've almost got all of them. I love to listen to her on the Bible Broadcasting Network called Gateway to Joy. But if you can't catch that, there's a YouTube channel with her name that has it on there. She has passed away. She passed away back in 2015, I think it was. But she was some kind of woman. She was a wonderful, brave woman to me. And here's some old pictures of her. In this book, there's a lot of old photos, and she was married to Jim Elliot. Many of you may realize he was one of the men. There were five men that went to Ecuador and their wives, and to reach the Wadani Indians, I believe is what they were called. But they went and stayed with the Quichua Indians, and they would fly a plane. They tried to reach out. They would fly a plane up in the sky and go around and around in circles and drop items down to these Indians as they friended them. And it's a wonderful story. They did end up meeting him. They took pictures of him. So here's some photos. That wasn't the Indians. That was the Quichua tribe. But there is Jim Elliot right here. You can see that. I don't think you can see that real good. But this book has a lot of good old black and white photos. Here's Jim Elliot and see the other two, Pete Fleming and Ed McCully. These men, there were five of them, were all martyred. They were all killed horrifically by these Indians. After they friended them, their wives had lost contact with them. There's one of the Indians because later on, Elizabeth Elliot went down. There's some real photos of them with the Indians right here. Her and her daughter, they went down and lived among them for, like, I believe, 2 or 3 years. I should know that better by now, but I've forgotten. And became friends with them, and so many of them accepted Christ as their Savior and still do. And it's a wonderful story. I'm going to read the back of the book. It says, 5 men entered the jungle in search of the savage tribe and never returned. In January 1956, a tragic story flooded headlines around the world. 5 men, spurred by a passion to share the good news of Jesus Christ, ventured deep into the jungles of Ecuador, their goal to make contact with an isolated tribe whose previous response to the outside world had been to attack all strangers. As agreed upon time, their 5 young wives sat by the radios waiting for a message that never came. Through the Gates of Splendor, the story of Nate Saint, Roger Udorian, Ed McCully, Pete Fleming, and Jim Elliot was first recorded in 1956 by Jim's widow, Elizabeth. Decades later, its story of unconditional love and complete obedience to God still inspires new readers. This edition contains subsequent developments in the lives of the families and the Wadani tribe. 5 missionaries gave their lives in the jungles of Ecuador and made headlines around the world. This is a wonderful book. The videos you can watch on YouTube. It's live footage, and it's called Through the Gates of Splendor. I would advise you, if you like Elizabeth Elliot, Jim Elliot, or anything that's like this, it's a wonderful, wonderful little movies. But the one main reason I brought it up is I had a thank you card in here. There's a couple that lived here. They once lived in Ecuador, and they were missionaries. And they knew Jim and Elizabeth Elliot. They were friends with them. And this one lady, she referred to Elizabeth as Betsy, and that's what her good friends referred to her. And that I was just starstruck. I know that shouldn't have been, but it was like I met a superstar is the way I looked at it. And her husband had passed away before she did. Her husband had I mean, other than being a missionary, he had he had been in search of Noah's Ark. They went on an expedition in 1980s, and then my watch keeps going on. I'm so sorry. Um, and then the Titanic years later, before it was found, and I thought that was fascinating. He didn't find it, but the place that they think Noah's Ark is now is still the place where he was searching. But and her father brought radio to South America, so I thought that's pretty cool. Anyway, this says, "Dear Judy, thank you for so much for the love for my sweet mother, and your visits and calls were so appreciated. It was so special for us to watch your videos together and get halfway through The Savage My Kingsman by Elizabeth Elliot. She loved being read to, remembering all her adventures in Ecuador as I read. Thank you again for your kindness and love. It will never be forgotten. May God bless you." This was while she had had a stroke. And so I took all my books over there and my DVDs, and they watched them. And I was so happy to at least done that for her. Brought back some good memories for her and some probably sad ones when she found out. But anyway, go get this book or watch the movie on YouTube, Through the Gates of Splendor by Elizabeth Elliot. I hope you have a blessed day.